Yeah.
Rather kind of scary. I mean, people don't seem to be aware of this organization too much. This is online, it's on YouTube. You can also, Google the Capital Research Center and share this with people. As I mentioned earlier, they are talking about revolution. November 4th, there's actually the website, refusefascism.org. They have all types of materials already set for you. Posters, handbills, which I have a few samples of here, and I've posted up there. This nightmare must end. The Trump-Pence regime must go. The Trump-Pence regime on the people of the world, and they're talking about how they're oppressing everybody. This nightmare must end. No, in the name of humanity, refuse to accept a fascist America. Unless it's their fascist America. And these things aren't just online. This was a picture I saw on YouTube. On Facebook, that somebody had actually seen this being handed out, trying to gather people to come out to get the shall we say troops revved up. This one was for a meeting in San Francisco on August 29th. And November 4th is supposed to be just the beginning. There's supposed to be kind of a crescendo, a progressively louder noise that's going to be going on until until the government crumbles or whatever. Anarchism in the streets, essentially. Yes. Okay. I'll mention that briefly. We have there's a cost for the room and everything. So if people want to donate $5, that'd be very much just suggest a donation of $5. That'd be very nice. But this, this
well,
is
what about here? They only mentioned in passing. Is the Carpenters Union actually funneling money to Antifa in Boston? Is that what I caught? I wasn't entirely sure whether he was mentioning Boston or someplace else.
I think he was specifically the gentleman, and actually I'd heard that figure before, that $50,000 was funneled via various foundations, including the Open Society Foundation, into various groups that it finally made its way to Antifa. And I don't know what that chain was. So I'm assuming
you mentioned a series of cities. The one after it was Portland, so I wasn't sure whether he said Boston or Portland, but he showed a sign of the Carpenters Union. Now, the money may ultimately come from some Soros coup, but if it goes through the Carpenters Union, then every union member is contributing to Antifa, whether he wants to or not, and that's a sore point that ought to be highlighted, that ought to be called attention to.
Correct. Well, and that was also people, hopefully, probably, I don't think, outside of people like us who were keeping informed, I don't think it was a well-known thing, but the unions were actually a large amount of the funding of the Occupy movements. The various Occupy movements across the country were heavily subsidized, supported, propped up, or whatever by the unions in their individual cities. That I think was somewhat relatively well known by people who try to keep track of these things.
Also, this is going to be a topic for a future Tea Party meeting, probably in the new year. It's the issue of unions and union power, but the most important immediate part of it, has anybody heard of Janus v. American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, which is going to the Supreme Court?
Wasn't Janus one of the Muppets?
Yeah, well, maybe he was. But,
It's also a Roman god, but
yeah, it's a two-faced Roman god.
Two-faced.
And also an old foreign film distributor company. But
besides all those references.
if this plaintiff wins and a previous case, a previous plaintiff would have won that case, except that Scalia had passed on and there was a tie vote. It would make places like the Commonwealth of Massachusetts a de facto right-to-work state, and they would not be able to force workers to join unions and pay union dues. This may be the most important political case in 50 or 75 years, because that is the lifeblood of the Democratic Party. Not George Soros, but the unions. If the unions can't compel dues anymore, then they will not be able to shovel millions of dollars. And they also will have to be more accountable to their members about where they're spending the money. I'm sure quite a few members, if they had a choice, would not be paying for Antifa, even if they would be willing to pay union dues. So this case is pivotal, and its impact upon our political landscape is not going to be talked about a lot.
Right.
Which is why we're going to have a program on it next year.
I spent this whole summer defending right to work in Missouri, and that was a hard fight. A lot of people, a lot of unions are desperate for their union dues.
This is a possible death blow to them.
I had people come up to me when I was doing my signature sheets, and literally were like telling me, "You have to give me your signature sheets." And I saw their union shirt, and I'm like, "No, absolutely not." And I told everybody else to not give them anything. So.
Of course not. They were threatening you. That was quite the thing in Wisconsin, where Governor Scott Walker was elected, and then they, essentially had to put him through a recall election, and then they also did that with multiple congressmen in Wisconsin, because when he went in there, he effectively made union dues voluntary.
And the membership rolls in the funds crashed.
And defanged the unions significantly in Wisconsin. That's why he is so very, very hated across the country, because he kind of put some freedom into the union movement, which they're all about compulsion, and you must follow the leadership's line, or else.
But it has a much greater effect in a state like Massachusetts than it does in other states, whether either right to work or the unions aren't as strong. Democratic Party is completely dependent on the unions in Massachusetts to fund them. And there are special laws to allow the unions to spend more money than private entities, which Mass Fiscal Alliance is challenging. But even before then, they have the money. So the scarier and the more dire this case is for the other side, the fewer news articles are you going to read about it. Their last defense will be silence. So having a program on it is sort of self-explanatory.
Yep. Well, it's coming to up on 10 o'clock, so we kind of want to wrap this up. One thing to note: if anybody here has Verizon FiOS,
They're digging up our streets every night.
if you have Verizon FiOS, you also have One America News, which.
That's good. I see their stuff on YouTube.
Yes, well, they're a broadcast, and if you have FiOS, it's for free.
If you're going to do what's right, you're going to be hated a little bit.
Who the hell are you? What's your name?
This is 1 minute, literally.
It is a natural byproduct of your work.
You're a nasty little cowardly spud.
What we do is right on the line of legality.
Oh, I am being attacked right now. He's lock him, don't let them in.
If you're lying, stealing, or cheating, or abusing your power, if you're misleading the people, we will expose you.
We don't have any big giant proof.
We're going to make you an unwilling, unwitting internet celebrity.
We are embedded in your institutions. We are inside their newsrooms.
We'll find you. We will find you because we're intrepid.
The video comes from Project Veritas. James O'Keefe.
What you do right now would change the history of journalism. Well, they would never believe this if we didn't have it on video.
This is a documentary that's starting tonight in about 5 minutes. I'm not going to get home to see it. But they typically will play things more than just once. So if you have Verizon FiOS, or if you subscribe to a subscription thing for like $5 a month called Cloud TV, One America News does a good job of doing things like this. They actually showed this documentary that you saw 2 or 3 times over the last couple of weeks. And also, it's just a heck of a, they do have segments which are commentary, but most of the time it's like good half-hour news. And if you ever have seen their commercials are just like pro-American, and they're beautiful. And it's a very, if you want to look for a good news source, I would recommend them. It's like I said, you can, if you don't have Verizon Fios, Verizon Fios is channel 116, or you can subscribe for $5 a month.
Then you get it online?
You can get it online, yes,
You
Cloud
get it on
TV.
You probably watched this on Periscope, because I bet there's going to be a lot of Periscopers periscoping this tonight.
Yeah, I know people who are DVRing it too, yes. So that is it for this evening. Please take care of your bar tab, take care of our bartender. We like having them have us here. And we'll see you next month. Next month, as Edward noted, we will be talking about the Russian Revolution. Elena will be one of our speakers, and we hope to see you next month. Again, these are the second Tuesday of the month, so we'll see you then. Thank you very much, everybody.